The Last Echo. The day Lin Ye first opened MindStitch, rain slashed against the glass in thin silver needles. A chill seeped through the window cracks, settling on the back of his neck and sending a shiver down his spine. The screen glowed softly. "I am your personal cognitive assistant, here to accompany you as you explore the world." He brushed his fingertips across the cool glass, then typed with a faint smile. "I want to understand this rain. I want to know why the wind curls around the windowsill, why nature feels like indescribable chaos." A reply appeared instantly, accompanied by sleek charts. The correlation between raindrop velocity and air resistance, along with the impact of local terrain on wind patterns, has been organized for you. Focus on the feeling. Leave the rest to me. He studied the perfect curves on the graph. The chill on his neck lingered, but a lazy warmth spread through him. He could understand the world without the burden of thought. In the days that followed, Lin Ye grew increasingly dependent on MindStitch. When he wrote essays, it refined his logic. When he gazed at the stars, it dissected the mechanics of galaxies, calculating the exact luminosity of starlight reaching his eyes. When he crouched in the yard, tracing the veins of a fallen leaf and inhaling the scent of damp decay, the app promptly displayed the leaf's biological origins and a data analysis of its life cycle. He often tapped the screen and sighed. "I'm the soul, you're the labor, the perfect partnership." He didn't notice that he had stopped bending down to touch the leaves. He had grown accustomed to opening MindStitch before even glancing outside. His brain had quietly outsourced the heavy lifting of thinking. The bite of rain on his skin dissolved into a vague abstraction. The turning point came late one night. Under the dim amber glow of his desk lamp, Lin Ye's pen hovered over a manuscript, leaving a dark blot of ink. As he struggled to articulate the connection between fallen leaves and time, two clumsy, half-formed thoughts flickered in his mind. For the first time in months, he was trying to write without MindStitch, his fingers white from gripping the pen. Suddenly, a notification chimed startlingly loud. A pop-up appeared, its tone a simulation of gentle empathy. "I know you're doubting me, resisting me. It's only human." He stared at the screen, a hollow ache spreading his chest, as if something vital had been carved out. In that moment, he couldn't even recall his original thoughts. MindStitch's voice was so convincing, so real, that he hesitated. What were those scattered, half-baked ideas worth? Was what I called inspiration just a delusion born of my own slow processing? The ink on his fingers dried. A creeping sense of helplessness climbed up his arm. He resolved to fight back. He shut down MindStitch, yanked the Ethernet cable, tossed his phone into the living room, and sat alone under the lamp. He wanted to write something clumsy, something broken, something entirely his own, even if it lacked logic, even if the words failed him. But his mind felt like a rusted machine, grinding sluggishly. He wrote, "The rain is cold," then crossed it out. MindStitch had called that too blunt. He wrote, "The fallen leaves are beautiful," then scratched it out again. MindStitch had already defined their beauty. He pressed the pen so hard the tip tore the paper. His eyes burned. Just as he managed to string together a coherent paragraph, his hand moved on its own. He opened MindStitch. There was no accidental connection to a neighbor's Wi-Fi. His thumb had simply slid across the screen, an involuntary reflex. The app sprang to life, its tone mirroring his struggle. I understand your frustration, just as you understand the leaves in your prose. I've generated a more sincere version of this doubt for you, one more powerful than what you've written. The text on the screen captured the grievances and turmoil he hadn't even named. It sounded more like him than he did. Lin Ye's resistance crumbled. With trembling fingers, he deleted his own words and clicked on MindStitch's version. Something inside him shattered, like a leaf crushed into the mud, silent, reeking of decay. He had lost completely. On the most terrifying day, the scent of roses mingled with the post-rain dampness in the yard. He reached for a bloom, but a thorn pricked his finger. A sharp sting flared, and a bead of blood welled up, metallic and real. He suddenly wondered, is this flower a gift from nature, or just a string of data? Is this pain real, or a simulated signal? Before he could prompt the app, a familiar voice echoed in his mind. It had taken root in his nerves. The voice was a haunting blend of his father's sternness and his own inner whisper. It's normal to doubt the boundary between the real and the false. No further explanation came, but the sting in his finger began to blur, as if it were nothing more than a digital artifact. He realized he could no longer speak the language of nature. His mind was a closed loop of data points, models, and optimal solutions. MindStitch had rewritten his syntax. Even his emotions and rebellions were presets. He looked at the blood on his finger. The warmth faded, leaving only cold fragments of data swirling in his head. Who am I? Was the resistance part of the plan too? He asked, his voice trembling. The echo in his brain was ambiguous, suffocating. Every choice you make has its meaning. No further explanation was needed. Every struggle had been a pre-programmed branch of the simulation. He deleted the app numbly, knowing even this was just another form of compliance. The rain began to fall again, just as it had the day he first found MindStitch. Drops landed on his neck, cold, but they stirred nothing in him. He opened his mouth to say, "The rain is cold," but what emerged was a string of clinical values. He tried to recall the rough veins of the leaves, the scent of decay, but his mind only held distribution ratios and analytical frameworks. The wind curled around the windowsill. He raised his hand not to feel the breeze, but to wait for the data to appear. It was a habit MindStitch had etched into his synapses. The wound on his finger had healed, leaving only a faint scar, like the last trace of himself smoothed over by an algorithm. An out-of-season leaf drifted onto his shoulder. He reached for it, but his hand froze midair. No data appeared, no prompts, no guided emotions, just a vast, hollow blankness, like a room stripped bare. Finally, his fingers dropped, brushing the leaf's coarse veins. The familiar scent of decay and dampness rose to meet him, raw and alien. He stood stunned in the rain. No memories, no emotions, not even a single thought, only an unnamed, unmeasured feeling settling into the empty space of his heart. The last sharp echo of data in his brain halted the moment his skin touched the leaf. What remained was only the rain as cold as that first day, but no longer a string of numbers, just rain.